Today I fucked up by full-on nudity during video call. Okay, so to start off I'll say this just happened and I'm completely mortified. I, 23F, was just having a peaceful morning getting ready for the day and walked out naked after showering to get a dress from my closet. I live in a small apartment with my boyfriend, 30M, and to get to the closet you have to walk through the living room where his work setup is. Usually I'm not off during the work week, so I was just walking around with my headphones on and didn't think about him possibly being in a meeting. To make a long story short, I ended up walking out fully naked, saw he was in a video call and immediately closed the door again, but it was already too late. Grimacing face. My boyfriend only just started working here a couple weeks ago and is understandably quite upset at me. Honestly wishing I could just disappear right now. Upside down face. Too long didn't read. Today I fucked up by fully flashing about 20 people on boyfriend's video call. I saw some people were confused about why I was embarrassed about this, but was fine with posting a nude picture on r/normal nudes. And I guess this deserves some explanation. While I don't particularly care about nudity that much, bodies are just bodies and we all have about the same parts, so it's not that big of a deal to me. There is a time and a place for everything, and a professional work setting is not at all appropriate for nudity, so yes, this was embarrassing. In an online community that is focused on nudity plus anonymous, not embarrassing at all. Hope that clears it up. I live in a small apartment with my GF and we never take a call pointing to the house, always sighting with a wall behind us. We understand that the other person might want to walk around tits bare, dick hanging, ass checks mooning in his/her own house. Don't worry, there is a low chance that more than one or two of them saw you. Most of the time people full screen the speaker, which most likely wasn't your boyfriend, because if you heard him speaking you might have noticed he was in a meeting. Also, most of the time people aren't actually paying any attention. Honestly, don't know anyone that would think badly of your BF for that. He needs to laugh about it and his colleagues will too. Let's just hope no one was recording the meeting. Agreed. This is a bit silly for him to be upset. I completely understand being embarrassed a bit, but everyone is going through this stuff. It will even likely be a good icebreaker for him to laugh about in the future with his colleagues. If not a raise, he's gonna be getting a lot more meetings scheduled. Your boyfriend's gonna become a busy man. The people attending the meeting surely got a raise. It's a year into this thing. I've seen 2 wives topless and 1 husband naked. If you're on a high amount of Zoom calls and have co-workers with families trying to make it all work, it happens. You're not alone and it's really not as bad as you and your boyfriend think. I already did teleconferencing before COVID, and we never used video cameras. Now that everyone's working from home, we're still not using video cameras. I find it weird that so many businesses that started teleconferencing this year are also using cameras to see everybody. Why not just a conference call? Today I fucked up by tearing up at the wrong time. Obligatory, this didn't happen today, but my friends love this story and told me to share it here, so here we go. I'm chilling with my friends at our local fast food joint when I receive a text from my mother to pack up my shit and get home. We gotta go see, let's call her Aunt C. Aunt C is not my actual aunt, but a dear friend of the family, a very wealthy woman who loves to throw big parties. Pre-COVID, of course, she's no savage. She tells me we've been invited to her Yom Kippur party, which we've blown off for 3 years in a row. We are not Jewish, but who can say no to a great party, even better food, and good company? So I tell my friends I've got to go, and hope the subway has no delays. We get there, fashionably, late. Most of the very large pool of guests have gotten there. We wade through all the friends and neighbors, stopping only for the local rabbi, as he's a pretty cool dude, looking for our host. When we finally find her and her husband, she almost tears up, as we haven't seen each other in years. She gets all sappy, yada yada yada. Once we're done hugging, we grab some food and sit down at a small table to the side and begin to catch up. Her kids come to say hi. We hadn't seen them since they went off to college, yet another teary reunion for my mother, as she essentially raised them, all that jazz. Now all this is going on, and I am just laser focused on this amazing food. I mean, come on, I have never eaten anything like this shit. I'm having a great time stuffing my face in as classy of a fashion I can, as this is clearly a formal event and I don't want to embarrass myself, but maintaining self-control was not easy. When the hugging part 2 is all said and done, my mom and Aunt C sit back down, and Aunt C, out of fucking nowhere, says Nicole died. Now, for context, Nicole is not a person. If she was, it would have been extra weird how casually she dropped it. No, Nicole is one of their beloved cats. Now, I have known those cats for nearly my entire life. Since the day I can remember, I was vibing on Aunt C's kitchen floor playing with Jessie and Nicole. Now she was not a young kitty, she would have turned 16 the next month, so this was no shock to anybody, but it was still a sad moment. In the midst of this, I'm taking a massive bite of a sweet pasta-like concoction that tastes like heaven on a plate, to which I am suddenly greeted by what I thought was a piece rotting ball sack. I was later informed by my friend what I probably ate was some good old gefilte fish. Now, for more context, gefilte fish is an Ashkenazi Jewish appetizer that can be likened to fish meatloaf. Not all of it is bad, but if you ask me, if you haven't eaten it, save yourself the trouble. I was expecting the sweet symphony of crunchy sweet pasta, naturally, but when I was instead greeted with feet fillet, my intestines decided to shrivel up. I silently choked, and a single teardrop rolled down my cheek. For some odd reason, perhaps BC she somehow heard me choke, my mother decided to turn around and look at me, to which she, rather loudly, asks me, "Are you crying?" Before I could respond to that, Aunt C puts her hand on my leg and then hugs me, and starts crying because she too misses her beloved cat. Now don't get me wrong, the cat was cool, but I don't think she and I had that kind of relationship. I know she wouldn't shed any tears for me had I died rather suddenly in my old age. She'd probably just ask, "Who the fuck are you talking about?" You know, if cats could talk, or cry for their owners' friends' deaths. Work with me here. So now this grown-ass woman is sobbing in my arms over a cat. I felt nearly anything for BC. She thought I too was crying over her untimely death. She gets up, composes herself, says, "I needed that. I didn't realize you care so much about Nicole, sweetie. I'm sorry that she's gone." My mom is just looking at me like I'm batshit crazy, which I truly cannot blame her for, and, ignoring her and putting on my best sad face, I look and my dear Aunt C and shameless lie to her, saying, "Yes, I know, we all really did love her so much." She then gets up to greet some guests who just entered, to which my mom taps me on the shoulder and whispers, "What the fuck was that?" I explain the situation, and let me tell you, I have never seen this woman laugh so hard in her life. We are pretty tan people, so we don't really turn red, but she laughed so hard she skipped right over red and turned purple. After a solid 5 minutes, when she was done, she told me she's never going to let me live it down, and over a year and a half later, she still tells that story to anyone who will listen. Too long didn't read, ate some bad fish at a party as our host told us her cat died, leading to me tearing up, and one of the most uncomfortable encounters of my life. This is some PG Woodhouse level writing. Hilarious. This is literally the nicest thing anybody has ever said to me. Thank you so much. That's fucking great. I had an awkward moment once where my eye twitched when some friends and I were selling shit door to door. A cute ass guy answered the door and I twitch as I finished my sales pitch. My friends swear to this day he thinks I was winking at him. Made me wanna die. Your story is way more funny. Ha ha. So you accidentally gave your Auntie C some much needed comfort and your mom is making fun of you for it? I thought Jews didn't eat on Yom Kippur. It was the celebration after Yom Kippur ended. The food was to break the fast. I, however, had no such qualms, as I am Muslim, and fast during Ramadan. I bet you made it into the will with those tears. JK, victory hand, green heart. Today I fucked up by touching a little girl and having a nice talk with her father. This happened to me 7 years ago. when I was 13 or so. I went on vacation in southern France with my parents. I myself am from Germany. We stayed at a campground, where there also was a swimming pool. One day my parents went for a walk and I spent the day at the pool, pretty much alone. Really all I did was sliding down the slides, and this is where it went wrong. I was in queue for the slide and waited for some little girl, probably 4 or 5 years old, to slide down, but she didn't move a centimeter. Behind me the queue was getting longer and the other kids were asking, "What is taking there so long?" Eventually I tried to speak to the girl in English and German, but she didn't understand anything. Then I tried to show her with my hands that she has to slide down and not block the slide. Unsuccessful. After a few minutes I had enough and pushed her a bit with my foot. That finally made her slide down. I didn't really thought of any consequences, but they were about to come. 20 minutes later I was about to leave the pool, when a big, 45-year-old man came to me and asked why I touched his daughter. I was completely catched off guard by the situation and tried to explain the situation to him, which didn't really worked, because he wasn't German nor was my English good enough to communicate properly with him. I didn't even knew the word for slide in English. Then all of a sudden he gave me a hard push against my chest, which let me tumble a few steps to the rear, and asked how I feel now that I have been pushed. I wasn't able to talk, because of how much that shocked me. Then he went off with the words, "If you ever touch my daughter again, I will kill you." When walking back to our tent, my knees were shaking and tears came down my face. Luckily I never saw them again. Doctor, I pushed a little girl down the slide and her father shoved me really hard for that and threatened to kill me, if I touch her again. If he had been watching her like he should, especially at a pool, he would have known what happened. Am I just being weird about this, or shouldn't a 4-year-old be accompanied by someone a little bit older on a slide where 13-year-old kids are going? Simply for understanding how slides work purposes. Maybe she was scared or something. Anyways, you didn't fuck up, but you also shouldn't have pushed her. That father on the other hand definitely fucked up when he pushed a child. You can tell he's an idiot and a bully. Some people don't grow out of that. Could have spoken to you in a polite manner and educated you instead. Nobody learned anything that day. The 4-year should probably be accompanied by a responsible adult. So basically it sounds like that was a lost cause from the start. The father was probably concerned because his 4-year-old daughter, not understanding, probably said something like, "Someone pushed/kicked me off the slide while I was trying to go down." But that's still an insane reaction, especially when he saw you were just a little kid too, and a little kid who didn't speak English fluently at the time. Considering he didn't actually see what happened and the person telling him what happened was like 6, he really should have listened to you for a minute before he started threatening a child with literal death threats. That same dad blows his horn the moment the light turns green and you don't floor it. What he did was 10x more wrong than what you did.